So why is the British tabloid press obsessed with Harry and Meghan's children? To answer that more completely, we'll have to revisit how the British royal family operates. And this time around, I want us to take a closer look at their relationship with the press. Apparently, and according to the UK's News Media Association, due to space restrictions and security, it is rarely possible to allow all media who wish to cover a royal engagement equal access to the event. A rota or pool system was therefore introduced. Representatives from each relevant media sector are offered the opportunity to cover an event on the understanding that they will share all materials obtained with other members of their sector who request it. That all sounds posh, efficient, and professional, right? But what if I told you that the Royal Rota I've just now described to you and the British tabloid press I have been talking about in all of my videos, what if I told you they are the exact same people? In other words, and to put it more plainly, the very same people that you see every day peddling anti-immigration propaganda, racism, Brexit, overall far-right ideology, these same people are the ones who enjoy a special relationship with the British royal family. And to use Prince Harry's own words, there is an invisible contract between the press and the family. They even have a motto for it. We pay, you pose. And to put it more plainly, it simply means that because the family is a so-called public servant institution, we as the people are entitled to daily updates about their lives, about their children, about their whereabouts, etc., etc., etc. Where it gets particularly nefarious, for me at least, is when you consider that in the you pose, we pay motto, the people who actually pay is not the press. It's the taxpayers, the people. And in fact, the press generates revenue from their daily coverage of the royal family. And I know if you're a human person, you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, but shucks, where is your humanity? Why aren't you feeling sorry for these people who have to endure all of this constant daily scrutiny? The reason I do not feel sorry for these people is because they gain quite a lot from all of this coverage. Because remember what I said in my previous video, at any given moment, whoever is going to be monarch or whoever is the monarch needs to be shining brighter than everybody else. And how are they going to shine if it's just them by themselves, doing their own PR? They need a partner to propagate all of this. And that partner is the press. For example, remember Diana? More specifically, what do you remember about her? I won't speak for everybody else. I'll just speak for myself. But what I remember about this woman is her humanity and how she saw us being the Commonwealth. Like she saw us as people. Like her advocacy for HIV and AIDS, specifically as a South African, is something that will always be close to my heart. Her talking about EDs in the 90s, talk about being ahead of her time. And then she had all that work with landmines that has gone on to change actual legislation. And because Diana was doing all of these things and more, people saw her in the same way that she saw us. We loved her for it. 28 years later, people still love this woman. But what if I told you we were all reacting incorrectly to Diana? We weren't supposed to love her. And that is why after Diana passed away and Charles now wanted to marry his mistress, we suddenly started getting told the story of how Diana was actually an obstacle in Charles' great story. Like he and Camilla were these two star-crossed lovers who were kept apart by circumstances, and Diana was like one of those circumstances. Like she was just a nefarious detail in their great love story. And once she was gone, they were now free to be together and be king and queen together forever or whatever, right? That's how the press works. And that's why to this day, you still have people, derangers in particular, peddling this story about how Diana was the one who cheated first. Diana was the one who did all of these bad things. And then they never name any of these bad things. We just keep getting told, actually, she was bad for Charles when you really think about it. So no, they are not victims. They are willing participants in this system. Which brings me all the way back to William. the next king. William, to put it bluntly, doesn't do a whole lot of work. And bear in mind, when these people say they're going to work, sometimes all that they are doing is showing up to a party and waving and smiling and posing for pictures. Like, that's their work. And he doesn't even do that. Moreover, William can often be found at any given moment on vacation. This year alone, this man has been skiing in France. He has been yachting in Greece and a whole bunch of other stuff. The only time we ever see this man is when he's having fun and vacationing on taxpayer money. Moreover, William has started hinting that he won't be living at the palaces when he becomes king, and he has bought his new forever home. It's like his fourth new forever home, and it's a downgrade apparently according to the Royal Rota, because it's now an 8-bedroom house that he's going to be living in. And in order to move to that house, a few of his neighbors or would-be neighbors had to be evicted for security reasons, because he can't live with the peasants. The most interesting feature about this new home, however, or this new property rather, is its security level, and the fact that, unlike the palaces, it's not a public institution, so to speak, and therefore access to this new forever home is going to be somewhat different to the palaces. And the press is starting to worry about that, not, because William is suddenly a lot safer than he would be at the palaces, but because with all of these considerations, the security, the privateness of it all, it means that William is now drawing back a little bit, or that's how they're reading it. Because if he's moving to a private property, how's the access going to work? And so they started panicking, because step by step, bit by bit, William has gradually been reneging from the invisible contract he has with these people. And when you combine all of these factors, everything I've just described or explained about what William has been doing, we are starting to see a press that doesn't have a subject to write about. And if they don't have a subject to write about, they can't generate their revenue. And lately, you'll have seen a lot of articles from the Rota kind of signaling to William that, hey, maybe don't do this move. Maybe do this instead. We are not exactly happy with this new thing that you just did. It's not because they've suddenly seen the light. They've suddenly seen that William is lazy. They've suddenly seen that this man doesn't work. And the only time they ever see him is when he's at a football match. They are not complaining about all of that. They only care in as far as it affects their revenue. So they've started clapping back at him. And moreover, when William does show up for work, remember, they're just waving and posing, right? When William does show up for work, it's because Harry's in town. And Harry's in town doing a whole bunch of work in 4 days that William can't even do in 3 years. So Harry is showing the people what he can do with his own money that he earned by himself with his wife. Meanwhile, bear in mind, William and his wife, they get their money from taxpayers, but Harry doesn't. And he's able to donate all of this money, do all of this work in 4 days that William cannot do in years. And on top of that, because of all this excitement and joy and laughter that Harry brings, people are a lot more excited and a lot more interested in him. And therefore, when Harry is in town, the press is chasing who? The press is chasing Harry. So when William does finally come out to work, they're not following him. Because remember, this is their opportunity to showcase their subject, their heir, their future king or whatever. But they're not there to take the pictures that he is posing for. Because, again, he's not exciting. This man can do 5 engagements in a year. And at the top of my head, I have no idea what any of those engagements were about. That's the difference between him and Harry. But what worries them even more than all of that is that with all these changes that William is making, they are seeing a future in which they do not have access to George, the future king after William. And as I say that, I'm realizing I lied to you. This is a Hobbit situation. It needs to be a 3-part series. I'm very sorry about that. I am so sorry, but hopefully see you in the next one.